Hey you, I'm your nutrition coach. My name is Jackie Poole. Welcome to Happiness is a Healthier Habit. Let's get today's episode started. Hello. Welcome to another episode, my friends. So happy you're here. If you've ever felt like you are doing everything right, eating well, working out, the scale's not moving, your energy is low, you're having cravings all the time, like might be a missing link, it might be a missing piece. So it could be maybe your hormones. So we're actually going to be diving into that today. We are breaking down how our hormones impact fat loss, right? We want to lose fat, but we also want to improve our metabolism. We want to have energy, and most importantly, really how to balance them naturally, right? Not to be dependent on a certain product or a certain, cortisol drink, like really figuring out how to do it on our own and just have those for when we are having bad days or, kind of adding it to our regular routines when we are needing those, right? Not that they're bad. There's so many good supplements out there, but you don't need one to regulate your hormones. You don't need one to really improve your fat loss. You don't need to be dependent on it. I guess I should be more focused on that, right? It should be a tool in your toolbox when you are having bad days, when we're not having good sleep, but we should try to kind of focus on regulating our body naturally. And again, there's so many good products out there. And as we get older, our hormones do decline. So maybe those are supportive, and we are maybe, I'm kind of in the fence on this. Like sometimes I do think like, yeah, we should stick to something that works. But at the same time, as we get older, our hormones do kind of decline, and, maybe substituting with certain things. So, I'm in the fence on this. I'm still on the younger side. I'm 33, going to be 34 this year. So, there are certain things that I definitely take and I enjoy to help with my hormone balancing. And we're going to be talking about all of that today. So let's get started. Let's initiate this conversation with how our hormones affect fat loss, right? So there are a few hormones that we are going to be talking about today, starting with insulin. We are going to be talking about cortisol, leptin, ghrelin, thyroid hormones, just kind of their role and what they do in the body. And yeah, that's definitely what we are going to be starting off with today. So they play such a huge role in our weight loss journey, our fat loss journey. But let's start with insulin, right? So insulin, we know maybe because of diabetes, we know it's the blood sugar regulator. And so insulin is like a storage hormone, right? So when it's balanced, your body burns fat for fuel. When it's too high from, again, too many processed carbs, ultra processed foods, constant snacking, starting your morning with more, kind of junk food, all of those things, when we're doing it on a regular basis, that can really stall our fat loss. And so the way we want to kind of fix that or improve our insulin is really prioritize protein and healthy fats, right? So instead of just having egg whites in the morning, maybe we can have a couple of egg yolks added into our breakfast meal and leave the carbs for post-workout, right? To avoid any unnecessary sugar spikes, right? If you're having a coffee in the morning and you put your creamer on, maybe try adding a little bit of collagen, right, to minimize the spike from the creamer, depending on how much sugar it has, right, if you're having it on an empty stomach. So a couple of things that you can do can really negate those spikes and avoid having those crashes if you are somebody that's doing, heavy carbs, bagels in the morning, or not even eating breakfast and starting off with a sugary coffee. Also, we're going to talk about cortisol, right? That is such a rage that is all over, take this cortisol drink. This helped me lose weight. That's always take this drink. I've heard that for a while, and it was kind of like a thing last year. I felt like it definitely dwindled down a little bit, or I'm not just seeing it as much, I don't know. But cortisol, it's when you have too much stress, right? Too much stress equals too much cortisol equals fat storage, especially around the belly. And so when we are lacking sleep, when we are always stressed, when we are, not managing and having all of these things happen, then our cortisol is going to spike. And when it's elevated, it can lead to cravings, energy crashes, and weight gain. Now, a caveat to that is we are supposed to have high cortisol in the morning, right? When we first wake up is what drives us out of bed, is what gets us up in the morning. It what gives us our energy, right? So when we wake up, it's supposed to be high because we're starting our day, we're more alert. And as the day is going, we need it to kind of start going down. So we're able to kind of relax and settle down and be able to have a good night's sleep, right? And so how we can fix this is managing stress. I'm such a big proponent of breathing work and having morning sunlight and doing walks, and not just the quantity of sleep, but also the quality of sleep, right? Maybe tuning down the lights. Like for me, my morning routine, however it goes, it's going to depend on how I slept and how my night routine is, right? So if I'm on my phone quite a bit, that definitely disrupts my sleep. I can tell the difference when I'm on my phone more than when I put my phone down like an hour before. When I do some stretching, some breathing before bed, I'm more relaxed. And so when I do get up in the morning, I'm more motivated, more calm, more rested, right? Less stress. And so it comes just down with really setting up a nice night routine to have a morning practice that's going to suit you to whatever you're trying to do, right? That is just a couple of ways that you can do to really help your cortisol. Because if we are stressed, we are not going to be able to manage our weight. I can just tell you that already, because when we have stress, we tend to go to comfort food. We're not sleeping, we're having cravings. So we're probably eating more throughout the day. And so everything is being disrupted. We're having more spikes, right? If we're having more spikes, our insulin is messed up. So it kind of trickles down, right? To all of these things are going to be tied together either way. So we want to make sure that we are doing everything that in our power to really manage our stress, because at the end of the day, we can't really get rid of it. Life happens, things happen, but learning to manage it and learn how to let go of things and learn to take control of what we can control and not to focus on worrying on the what ifs. It's a really big impact on our health. All right, the next hormone that I want to talk about is something that I currently actually got tested for. Thyroid hormones, T3, T4. They are, metabolic drivers. If your thyroid is sluggish, your metabolism could slow down. It could make fat loss really frustrating. Low thyroid function can cause nutrition deficiencies. It can cause more stress in the body. It can cause more inflammation. It can really lead to a lot more things. And remember, all of these things are tied together, right? And so we don't want our body to overcompensate. So a way to really improve thyroid hormones, there are certain vitamins and supplements. Always talk to your doctor how you can improve those if you've been tested for hypothyroidism or hypothyroidism, whatever, your body is, or if you're right where you need to be. I know for me, I just had gone to the doctor. I forgot what my levels are. They were in the normal range for my age, but because I am trying to conceive, the doctor wanted me to see them at a higher levels. So I'm taking like a multivitamin now, like a prenatal, just to make sure I'm getting enough of iodine and selenium and zinc. And of course, this can be found in nuts and certain seeds. Lately I got pumpkin seeds as well. Those are high in zinc and a little bit more variance in that type of minerals and vitamins that you need. So just adding some types of food into your diet will definitely improve, along with, again, managing stress. It is number one, and it's something that we heavily focus on the coaching protocol, because a lot of people, when they're stressed, they really turn to other bad habits. And so we really learn to turn that around and automate the good ones, so we are making better decisions when we are having those types of seasons, because sometimes it's not just a day, it's seasons, right? Where things are happening and things are coming, and it's just one thing after another. The last two things that I wanted to focus on that really affect our hormones and our ability to lose fat was leptin and ghrelin. So these two are the hunger hormones, and I first learned about these, of course, in my nutrition coaching school and certification, but also through Eat Smarter. That was such a helpful book that really helped me understand leptin and ghrelin. So in simple terms, leptin controls how full you'll feel, right? And ghrelin triggers your hunger. And so some people, if you're overeating, you might just not feel full. You're always hungry. And ghrelin is always making you feel hungry. So people that tend to overeat, these could be off. And again, sleep can really cause these to be messed up throughout the day. Stress can really overload these. And again, having a diet that's low in protein and fiber can cause ghrelin to spike, making you constantly hungry. And so you always want to prioritize protein. I always say minimum, reach at least 100 grams of protein, if that. Of course, every person is individualized, but anybody should be hitting at least 100 grams of protein. You want to make sure you're getting fiber. The RDA is 25, but I always bump it up to 30 because most people are not even getting 25, right? So we want to make sure we're getting at least 30 from whole nutrition dense foods. And of course, quality sleep is always going to be a must and is the number one habit that we actually talk about in the coaching program. Okay, we are going to be talking about our non-negotiables, right? What we need to do for our nutrition to improve our hormones, to improve some of these habits with our food to help our hormones stay balanced, so we're not really dependent completely on supplements, or things that you can do now and see if anything changes, right? To make sure that we are healthy, vibrant, and able to lose weight without depending on any supplements for now, right? Let's try some of these things first, and then we can see about needing to take some supplement support if that's not working. But I guarantee that you're going to see such a big difference on these small changes that you can go do right away, right? So the first one is going to be protein. That is a non-negotiable. Aim to, again, minimal, like the minimal that you can do is 100 grams, right? Normally with women that I've worked with, we tend to go higher. We tend to go for at least 120, and really it depends on how tall you are, how much you weigh, how much you're trying to lose. It's really going to help with muscle retention, to keep your muscle, to improve your metabolism. It's going to improve your blood sugar balance, which again is super important for how our body stores fat. So the more muscle we have, the better our insulin can be controlled with just having muscle on, right? The impact that food makes on our body is very different when we have more muscle. So that is a key factor here. Number 2 is going to be healthy fats, and they're essential. You need fats for hormones, right? If you're eating less than 55 grams of fat in your diet, we need to add more. Minimal, at least 60. I don't like to go any lower than that. Personally, sometimes I do 80, and it just depends on what I'm eating, right? But what are healthy fats, right? This can be in avocados, this can be in olive oil, this can be in salmon, nuts. All of these things really help support your hormones. They reduce inflammation. So you want to make sure you're adding these into your regular diet, right? And the next one, of course, we talked about it a little bit, is fiber. Fiber is key for gut health, for hormone health. It's going to help the body detox and really support digestion without worrying about taking anything else. And so again, you want to make sure you're adding leafy greens, flax seeds, berries. Avocados have fiber as well. Blueberries are great. I love having blueberries. If you're not a fan of leafy greens, you can always blend them in with, a protein shake to get those in. But it's better if you chew them. But they all, especially spinach, right? Spinach is always my go-to. You can get a lot of iron, a lot of fiber from spinach. I feel like that's the easiest one that you can eat. I feel like arugula sometimes has a little taste to it that I don't like, and so it depends how I can eat it, but definitely spinach is an easy way to get that in. And of course, carbs, right? And carbs, sometimes you just gotta learn to play with how you feel, with what you're doing. So timing does matter at points. If you're super dialed into how you're eating, and if you're intuitively aware of your body, maybe, for example, carbs don't settle with you first thing in the morning. You feel like you're crashing during the day. You might want to do those post-workout, right? For muscle recovery. And this can be like quinoa or sweet potatoes. Good, easy, digestible, carbs that you can take if you feel sluggish during your workouts, or you're somebody that works out in the morning and you need a little boost or pump. I love doing oatmeals or banana and peanut butter. That's always a go-to or staple in the fitness community, right? To do as a pre-workout. So you want to make sure you're timing your carbs right, and also just figuring out how you're eating throughout the day, right? If you are been very active, then go for it. And also know that in the evening, whether you eat carbs or not, carbs aren't going to make you fat. Now, if you've been super active, super mobile, carbs are really going to be helpful to kind of keep you full, satiated, Especially there's studies that show that eating carbs late at night also help with sleep. But if you've been kind of working in the office, you've been sitting down all day, maybe just having some protein and vegetables, something light in the evening can definitely be better to keep it lower carb, right? So you just kind of play out how your day, everybody's so different. So I can't really be like, this is what you need to do, because it's going to be very dependent on a day-to-day basis. And lastly, which is something that I love taking, electrolytes and staying hydrated. Dehydration raises cortisol, if you didn't know, and really affects thyroid function. So we want to make sure we're staying hydrated throughout the day. Electrolytes are sodium, magnesium, potassium. Those are all key, especially if you've been active, if you've been moving, if you're sweating, if you're doing the right things. We want to make sure if you're eating whole foods, you're most likely really low on electrolytes. So we want to make sure we're supplement if we are doing all the things, right? If we're moving, eating whole foods, sweating, we want to make sure our body has the right electrolytes. And if you don't know, Make Wellness has a super clean set of electrolytes. Everything in the label is there. No natural flavors, no maltodextrin, none of that. It is super clean. It tastes so good. Grapefruit is one of my favorite fruits, so I love the flavor, and it's such a good product. I like to mix it with my Fit, my peptides. They are my favorite when I am working out. Okay, so nutrition, we talked about that. Now we're going to be talking about what do I need to do to really balance my hormones. And so for me, I've been always constantly changing my routines. At first I was like really running, and then I kind of toned it down. And right now I'm kind of like doing a HIIT or sprints 1 to 2 times a week. I was trying to do running, but the weather was like not letting me run outside how I wanted. So I haven't been really training for that. I have a goal of running a mile in 7 minutes. So I haven't quite been able to run how I wanted to, but I've been doing at least a HIIT or sprint once or twice a week, right? And that really helps with burning benefits without excessive stress. HIIT can be 15 minutes a day, and you get a spike of cortisol because it's a little stress, but it really releases a lot of endorphins in that short amount of time, depending on what you're doing for HIIT. But I love doing this at least 1 to 2 times a week. Definitely we are doing strength training. We are building lean muscle. We are boosting our metabolism. And so the recommended amount for times that you need to be at the gym should be 3 to 4 times. I think 4 is pushing it for me. So I've loved doing like full body workouts 3 times a week. Like that's been my thing. I've really enjoyed that. It's doable for my schedule, and I just love going 3 times a week. I feel like 4 is too much for me with my schedule, and so 3 just works out perfect. And of course, I want to add that we need to be moving throughout the day. We need to add walks throughout the day. It doesn't have to be like a 30-minute walk every single day, but just adding some steps, stretching throughout the day, doing some body squats, some movements, some calf raises. Actually, there's studies that show that doing some calf raises after a really heavy meal can really negate some of the blood sugar spikes from insulin. So give that a try. They really help with, again, cortisol and balanced sugar levels. So if you're somebody that's very sedentary, that needs to get steps in, find some ways. Either walk to the mail. Always say walk to the mail, because I walk to the mail, park far away from the store. We actually went to Academy this weekend, and my son is entering into some men's sizes. I was so sad, but we were going to go have some pizza afterwards. And so I literally parked the furthest spot from the like the last spot that you can take in the parking lot, and we walked our little butts to the store, and we walked out, and it was such a good day. It was sunny, it was cool, the boys were splashing in the puddles, and it's just something that we do, right? It's something that it's going to add up. I wasn't like, I need to get my steps in, but at the same time, I was like, I know this is going to be better, especially because we're about to go eat and just get my steps since we haven't been very mobile today, right? So it's just the little things that add up to a big result in our whole journey and a whole process. It's not just one day I'm going to do this. It's a whole lifestyle that you're doing this, right? It's not just one and done. It's just, this is who you are. This is your lifestyle. Now, the last thing that I want to talk about, okay, so I talked about strength training, getting your steps in, which minimal, at least 7,000 steps a day, hit maybe once or twice a week. And the last thing that I've really been doing these past few months have been sauna and cold plunging. Well, only sauna. I don't do cold plunging. I don't like cold exposure. I just don't like the cold. I just don't. But it really helps with inflammation, recovery, stress. It's good on your heart. It is good for your cardiovascular health. So many benefits with doing sauna. I just like sweating. You release toxins. There's where I focus on getting all sweaty, right? Not really during my workout, but in the sauna. It's just so many good benefits. And the sauna, if you go to a gym, most gyms have sauna available with the membership, and I like to do those 3 to 4 times a week. Okay, so I know I started this episode kind of like no to supplements, yes to supplements. So honestly, it's going to be very dependent on the individual. The goal here is to give you autonomy, to give you kind of the power to choose, right? What you need, to not be dependent on a certain drink, on a cortisol drink, like to really rely on yourself and decisions that you're making, and to really be aware of your own body and what it does for you, right? So speaking of supplements, we are going to be talking about what kind of supplements kind of can help balance our hormones, right? And so the main 3 that most people are deficient in are magnesium and vitamin D. Both of those help reduce stress, support insulin sensitivity, and essential for hormone production. Vitamin D, you can find it in, I believe, egg yolks. I mean, that's already a kind of like a multivitamin. If you're eating whole pasteurized eggs, like that is your go-to. And magnesium, you're going to find them in seeds, chia seeds, pumpkin seeds. Like if you're not having those in your diet, you're most likely deficient in magnesium. And so they are going to support with insulin sensitivity, with hormone production. You want to make sure you're also adding omega-3s. Those are anti-inflammatory, support your brain, good for hormone health. You can get those from, tuna. I love the canned tunas from Costco. There's this a specific tuna that I like. I can't remember the name of it, but it's so good just by itself. And just to have that at least once a week, right? Other adaptogens that can help with hormone balance is, of course, ashwagandha and rhodiola. And, for those days that you're feeling stressed, that you're feeling out of control, that maybe having anxiety, those would be good to help you, right? But not to be always using them for the long term. So with that being said, we want to make sure we focus on improving our sleep. Poor sleep equals high cortisol, high ghrelin, low leptin, constant cravings, and slower fat loss, right? And so again, the way we fix that is minimizing our screen time, maybe even wearing some blue light goggles or lenses, early morning sunlight, and of course, if you having a bad day or not having enough magnesium, trying magnesium before bed. Honestly, our hormones really impact a lot of our actions. They impact our energy, our cravings, our metabolisms. And if you feel like you're doing everything, this is something that you should try. With that being said, I talked about electrolytes and my fit peptides. Those are really amazing to help support your muscle growth, and they have magnesium and they have vitamin D, which really help kind of put everything together to, instead of taking different pills, like if you're needing help with water intake, and that's just a good mix to have, like your electrolytes and the fit peptides, and they're mixed of so many good benefits. And I don't do those every day, right? I do those during my workout. I like to have pre-workout or something like that. They're really beneficial. But small changes in, first of all, the food that we consume, the types of workouts we do. A lot of people do, like, I'm gonna do HIIT every day, and I'm gonna go run, and I'm gonna go strength train and do all the things, right? You don't want to overload the body. So making small changes, doing the least amount of work to elicit the most amount of change can really help improve and bring balance back into your life. So if you're needing help with, accountability and not knowing where to start or what workouts to do, today was kind of like a simple rundown of things that you can start with. But if you need something more personalized, of course, I can urge you to schedule a consult with me, see how I can help you. I kind of know where you are at, what you're doing, what works, what hasn't worked, and really get to know you. And also, don't forget to subscribe and share this episode with someone who needs it. Thank you for listening today, and I will chat with you next time. Bye.